One of the things that hasn't changed is the vastness of the ocean. I mean, the reason we established the U.S. Navy, arguably, I mean, the reason put forward by Jefferson, had to do with pirate attacks off the Barbary Coast. And so what has changed over time is our rules of engagement. And I know this is a debatable point here in the U.S. and in the U.K., but Mr. Shapiro, in a speech last year, you said, we have to apply 21st century standards of evidence and human rights and other legal protections to the piracy problem. And we're aware of the debates on the engagement between the way the British and the U.S. handle this and the way that the Russians, for example, and the Indians handled the piracy problem. There has not been one pirate who has taken a Russian seaman who has lived to tell the tale. And the Indians engage the same way. The Indian Navy, they take these ships to the bottom of the ocean. A few weeks ago, I think it was, I read about a German warship that engaged two attack skiffs and sunk them, but allowed the mothership to return. So the rules of engagement are different between different navies. And I think one of the questions we wrestle with, and I know a reading, I've seen legal commentary put forward, that the UN Security Council resolutions, which were issued under Charter 7 of the UN Charter, should serve as sufficient legal justice to kill pirates on the high seas. And you have legal scholars calling for targeting, selective targeting of pirate leaders, just as we do with Al Qaeda, with terrorist leaders in Yemen or in Pakistan. So why not take this approach, Mr. Shapiro? Maybe we can revisit your commentary on this and sort of reopen this debate.
Well, thanks for that question. I think the quote you were referring to was, I was quoting Secretary Clinton saying that we needed 21st century solutions to a 19th century problem. And that meant, more broadly, we need to use all the tools at our disposal.
Let me quote you exactly. We have to apply 21st century standards of evidence, human rights, and other legal protections to the piracy problem. And that's sort of the debate.
And I think that a couple of issues. First, from our perspective, our ability to gain international support for addressing piracy will require us to treat it in a manner consistent with the rule of law. Secondly, when you talk about targeting pirates on the high seas, it is important to prosecute those who we catch. But what is more important is to target the pirate facilitators, because there is an almost innumerable number of young pirates who are willing to be recruited to go out on the high seas and take their chances given their life in Somalia. It is the facilitators and the people who profit from this that we need to target, and that's what our approach is going to start to do. We've already brought back 2 facilitators back to the United States for prosecution, and I think that if, in order to continue to get the level of international support that we need to make further progress, that's the right approach. That we continue to build cases against, as we have done against other organized crime groups such as drug cartels, build the cases, bring them back for prosecution, and in that way we can disrupt the pirates from being able to get the funding that they need to go out to sea.
You know, it's an interesting question. I remember the debate in the State Senate over the use of lethal force, which was what we're talking about here as well in California. The question was, and it actually prevailed at the time, the question was, could you use lethal force if someone was attacking you, coming into your home, robbing your home, invading your home? Could you use lethal force? And the decision in the State Senate and the Assembly was, yes, you could. And clearly the conclusion that has been reached in Germany, India, Russia, is that they're going to use lethal force in engagements with pirates?
Well, with India, they did use lethal force to free their ship, but they also brought back many of their pirates for prosecution back to India. And I would say, you know, Secretary Clinton has expressed a desire to make progress. She has expressed an openness to entertaining ideas regarding addressing the pirate problem on shore. But at the end of the day, if we are to target these networks, it will be important to build cases and develop information. And that means you bring in one pirate facilitator, and then he rolls on the next one. And then you bring in the next one, and you work your way up the chain to the highest levels. So these require long, complicated cases. But at the end of the day, if we're going to disrupt these networks, we're going to have to target the appropriate people, bring them back, get them to turn on their higher-ups, and continue to make progress in disrupting these organizations.
Mr.